First up is Melissa, and yeah, this looks really good. I would definitely say it exceeds expectations for the class. It looks like you kind of did a different sort of modeling, sort of poly modeling. For something like the pants, you might want to put a gap in between those legs. It makes it more difficult to rig the legs if the pants are overlapping like that. Um, One way to do that is might move this out a bit, and I'll delete this one, and then you may have to adjust the bottom there. Probably adjust the position of the feet too, and you might now need to adjust some of that. But if I put the pivot point at the center, I'm going to hold down D and X, and then middle mouse drag to snap that to the middle, and then duplicate it, and then scale it -1 in the x-axis. I got those two sides, and then I can take these two and combine them, mesh combine. And then I'm just going to isolate this for a moment so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to take this edge, actually not that whole thing, just from here to shift double click here, okay, just along that opening, and from here shift double click to here, okay, and then shift right mouse click bridge, and in my bridge thing here I'm just going to reduce the divisions to 1. And then I can, now that these are like one solid thing with a space between the legs, I can adjust a little bit. I might hold down W and then click with my left mouse click, and I can do symmetry and turn on symmetry. And that way what I do to one side should do to both. So I'm going to maybe turn these, select these, turn this back on, and a lot of people are having trouble because they accidentally turned on soft select, but soft select can be helpful. I'm going to hit B for soft select, hold down the B button, and then click and drag to reduce the size of that. But that way it kind of smoothly moves those in, and then scale and move those in. So something like that. So I think that looks much better, and then you would go in and position the feet to match. I guess the only problem with this, though, in general, and then I guess it's the same issue with the legs, is if we import the Pillman character, he's not necessarily match. Actually, that does match fine. In fact, well, I can see where the feet, still need to be pretty. Yeah, I guess that's all right. Yeah, that's looking all right. But I think where you might run into a problem is the height of your arms and the length of your arms and the shoulders and stuff. So I think you should, adjust your model and get it to match this. One way you might do that is with a lattice. Create deformers, lattice, and right mouse click lattice points, and just select, whoops, I'm just going to go in component mode. Okay. It's getting a little stretchy there. I'm going to go in the front view. That's already looking a little bit better. And then maybe taking these, whoops, why is it not picking the lattice points? Oh, it's not working over there. Because I just have to pick them more carefully. It's probably... Oh, hey. Oh, maybe because of symmetry? Is that the... Oh, because I still have symmetry on. That's why. If I turn that off, it'll select them. And that's what's happening. So that's actually good. I can just... So this is kind of a quick way to get that pretty close. I think the thumbs are a lot different, but and then you can do edit, delete all by type history, and it'll get rid of that lattice and all the other history, and then that matches pretty well. So yeah, I think you've done a really nice job. Next up is Anna, and yeah, this is looking good. Like the wrinkly thing you've done with the pants, I think that turned out very nicely. The shoes are looking good, and I like the belt with the bullets on it. I think that if you could get this to fit a little bit more closely to the body, just by selecting some points and kind of adjusting those, moving them in, just to be a little bit more fitted. I think that would be better. I just go to component mode. It makes things easier to select. I won't do the whole thing, but the idea is just get it a little more snug to the body, because right now it's a bit just kind of hovering there. Yeah, I think that's all coming along well. Like the hat, I think it goes well with your design. Take a look at the blend shapes. It's got the snarl and the frown. You can see the tongue here. And wide. For wide, I would go wider than that. It's pretty subtle, so you might want a little more room to go, because you can always go less than 1. And actually, it's technically possible to go greater than 1, although it's not something I normally recommend, because you can sometimes get weird results. But it is pretty common to go, somewhere between 0 and 1, but you have so little range here, so I would make that a little wider. And then open. Good. So those all work well. Nice job. I did a bandana tutorial a while back, which I'll put in your discussion. I've added it to your post. As far as mustache, I mean, if you're going for a Charlie Chaplin mustache, I think it's just a little just a little black thing there. So you could take like I'll probably take like a polygon cube. Just middle mouse drag by holding down V, and shrink that down a little bit, and then maybe just increase the subdivisions at least a little bit, and then smooth it. Shift right mouse click, smooth, and then just sort of shape this to a little mustache. That sort of Charlie Chaplin looking thing. Do you have a black material? I'll just use the hat one. Do you have a hat one? No, that's not. What's the hat one? Pants. Okay, I guess that's dark enough. You could always just make a new one, obviously. I'm just sort of being lazy in a way. Yeah, and then shape it some more. I don't know how big that is. Just center the pivot on that. Maybe I'll take the top vertices of this, whoops, and put on B for soft select, hold down B, click and drag until that brush size is much smaller. Geez, how big is it? It's not wanting to get smaller. Let me just double click here and just type it in 0.1 or 0.05 maybe something in between, and then I can just kind of squeeze those in. They got more shape, and I'll just get these and pull these up and kind of round out the top a little bit, and then move all these back down. I don't know. Anyway, you can goof around with the shape a little bit. I don't probably use some photo reference of Charlie Chaplin, something like that. Yeah, so that bandana, just follow the old tutorial I posted, and you could do something like that for the mustache. Next up is jersey, and yeah, there's some good accessories that give some, nice character. I like the tie. It's nice how it's sort of form fitted to the body. That's some good work. And the vest is looking good right now, and I like the sort of Colonel Sanders style mustache you've got going here. I'm thinking the eye will be a little bit higher. That looks a little low for the eye, but I guess once you put the eyeball in, you can decide that. We can take a look at your... Did you add blend shapes? You did not. Are these... Okay, so you have open. Are these named? No. Might want to name these groups. I'm just selecting and hitting the up arrow to select the group. So yeah, you've got some mouth shapes, which is good. It'll be easier to see on the character with the blend shapes. It looks like you've even adjusted. I guess we could make the blend shapes. I guess I'm looking at this in 2018. Oh, well, it's about the same. Looks like this is part of one of those groups, which isn't such a good thing. I'm gonna do Shift P to remove that from that group. Oh. Okay. And let's see these, and then where is this one? Oh, face. Okay. There, select those. Oh, I see. That's just. You might want to name some of these. It'll be a lot easier. And then create blend shape. And let's see if that works. Yeah, it's better. See if you name the groups, then they'll have the names right here instead of being called group 9. That one's a little bit too subtle. I would make that one bigger. And I think it'd be good if the mustache moves with the mouth more. So that would be the two things I would do, is move the mustache with the mouth more, and name the groups when you make your blend shapes. Next up is Clive, and yeah, this is looking good. I'm a little concerned about some overlap here, so you may want to pull these points out a bit, so that I'm just going to scale these two out. Maybe this one and this one. Anyways, get that. You don't want this one right on top of each other thing going on, so make sure that you adjust the points accordingly. Yeah, I like the buttons and the shirt and all that. That's good. I like the head shape of the hat. Um, Maybe a bit long this way. Maybe you want to squash that down from the side a bit. Um, yeah, the belt buckle looks good. Boots look good. Let's take a look at your blend shapes. Okay, open mouth, wide. I think you could go a bit bigger with these shapes. They're all very, very small, very subtle. So go much bigger because you can always do, less than one. Um, but if you have a bigger shape, then you have more options about how far you want to push it. So go bigger with all of your shapes. Otherwise, this is looking good. This is George, and yeah, this is looking good. I think something happened with these surfaces when I imported it or opened it, but I can fix that with under surfaces, edit NURBS, reverse surface direction, and the hands are polygons, so I'm just going to turn everything off here and just turn on surfaces to make these easier to pick. And under polygons I can use normals, reverse. So yeah, I like the hat. That looks really good. Although, wow, you sliced that up. Probably would have been easier to create a ramp for that, which I could show you. I'm going to put on lighting, two-sided lighting, so we can see both sides. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter that you did it that way, but yeah, it'd probably be better just to do a ramp with these different colored stripes. And then you asked about the hole in this surface. I'm just gonna isolate this for the moment and look at this from the top and create a circle, NURBS primitives circle. Ugh, I hate that. Create NURBS primitive circle option. Oh, I just have to turn off interactive creation. There we go. And have to just turn off isolate selected. Okay. Oh wait, cylinder. That's not what I meant to do. Oh, that's what this thing is. Okay. Let's create a NURBS circle, and then I'll select that and shift select this, and then isolate both those together so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so here's my circle, and I just need to, let's turn all these panels back on. I just need to make it, the size I want the hole to be, and position it where I want the hole to be. Say like that, and shift select the surface, and then under surfaces, edit NURB, project curve on surface, and then what I have is, this is like a curve on the surface. It was projected from the circle onto the surface. And then you can use a trim, NURBS trim tool, pick the surface to trim, and then I think you usually just want to pick the area you want to keep, and then press enter, and it'll sort of hide that, and then you get that hole in the surface like so. And then I can show everything again. So that's how you can do a hole in a NURBS surface. Yeah, for this thing, I'll show you a ramp. It doesn't really matter because what you have can work fine, but just going to do right mouse click here, two panes side by side, and put the hyper shade in this side, and make a new Lambert for a moment. And I just gonna select each of these colors. So grab this thing and pick. I was doing this sort of the shaded thing. And what you'll see is it loads it in there, so I can just get this one and then that one. And so now in my color picker I have like these most recent colors, and so that'll speed me up when I'm trying to do this. And then what I'll do is you slice this up, but I was gonna put it back together again. So edit NURBS, attach, and then edit NURBS, attach. I'm going to not keep originals because that makes things kind of confusing and messy. So, okay. Let's just delete the history off of that. Edit, delete by type, history. I'll delete off everything. Okay, yeah, that's the assembled one so far. And that's the old piece of that one. And that's the old piece of that one, right? Okay. And then, again, attach. And I can use G for most recent tool, and G again, and delete history. Okay, so I've got, I don't know what happened here. I think I might have screwed up one of my attaches. Let's try that again. Sorry. Let's just make sure when I do attach that I have the keep originals turned off. So these two, yeah, no, it does something weird there. Don't know why. Anyway, let's keep going. Okay. And let's just assign this Lambert to that, and then color map ramp right here, and 6 for textured view. And let's change it to a U ramp, and let's try changing the interpolation to none for a moment, and you'll kind of get the idea here. Right, so I can't remember exactly where your lines were, but so I'll select the color, and I should have probably done like a snapshot of your thing because I can't remember what it looked like now. I don't know, maybe that was like that, and then where's my ramp? And then I can put in another one just by clicking here. Maybe that was this color, and then another one, say here, and that was this color again. You know, I'm probably not getting your colors right, but you get the idea. And then another one here, and let's do that green, and I can adjust the position pretty easily if you see that. And then maybe the rest is red, or I can't remember. It's interesting. It doesn't look right. I can't remember exactly how you had it, but you get the idea. As you can, do this and adjust the position of these lines, to taste. Maybe it was more like that. I don't know. Okay, something like that. So that way it's just one continuous surface instead of all the sliced up multiple surfaces, which, I don't know, might cause you a little trouble later. Yeah, I mean, I think the poncho will hopefully move okay with the character. It looks like you have about enough detail. I would say you're going to want to add some additional isoparms between. Actually, could use some all around. So I can take this one and this one, and do insert isoparms, and let's say do between selections and say we want at least 2 more, right? And then maybe one, if I just click and drag one here, and I'll do at selection, just one. And then repeat that for the back. And then you'll have a little more detail, so it'll move better with the character on that. Okay. Did we look at your blend shapes? I don't think we did. Okay. That's good. I would go a little bigger on that. Maybe a little, so you have a little more freedom to move. Got the tongue moving there, okay. Maybe go bigger on the frown and the snarl. So if anything, the shapes could be a little more exaggerated, bigger, and then you could always do less, like work less within that range, but it's better to make them a little more exaggerated so you have some freedom. Okay, next up is Chavez. Looks like it's a Maya 2018 file, so I've opened it up in there. Looks like you kind of did this a little differently. The pants are looking extremely dense. Looks like you've already played with binding this too, which is interesting. Yeah, different kind of boots. They look pretty cool though, but crazy dense. What are you using for this? It'd be interesting to find out, because that doesn't look like typically the kind of smoothing or anything that you would get out of Maya. So I'm wondering if you're using a different program for this or something, or maybe just some other tool set in Maya that I wouldn't have expected. Yeah, and I think the other thing, face is looking interesting and all that, but if you're going to use the rig of that Pillman thing, then I think that you'll find that the proportions don't match, so that's going to be tricky. So you may want to move this so the proportions do match. However, the hands are so much different in size that's not really going to work. So you might want to change the size of the hands as well. And I might just use a lattice for that. I demonstrated it earlier in the video if you watch the whole thing, how to adjust the proportions with a lattice. And it looks like you don't have any facial shapes. You don't. Okay, so yeah, you're supposed to have your facial shapes now as well. So keep going, and good modeling work. Okay, next up is Deonte, and yeah, this is looking really good. Like the buttons. Looks like some of these might need to be flipped. I don't know if you're getting the same thing. Reverse surface direction. No? Oh. Maybe it's just a two-sided lighting thing. Oh, that's where it is. Oh, maybe it's just colored black. Is that what it is? Anyway, yeah, so this is looking good. I might kind of pull this out a little bit so that, these don't intersect here. Oh, it's on. That's being weird. If your move tool is ever weird, it's a good idea to double click on it and then hit the reset button and see if that solves it. No? Maybe that's something bad selected. Weird. Usually, yeah, if it's not that, it would be one of these snap things, but that doesn't seem to be it either. Anyways, move those outside of the body. That looks good. Looks like, oh, you just have a different color here at the knee, so you might want to make that the same color with those balls. Boots look good. Blend shapes. Let's just look at those quickly. Cool. So you got some shapes, as you know, like everybody. I always say you could probably go bigger on those because you can always not use the slider to the full extent when you're animating. But yeah, good progress. Next up is Vivian, and yeah, it's looking interesting for the character shape. We should make sure that the proportions match the Pillman thing for the rig you can use on that. So I would scale her to fit this character and match the kind of lengths of the legs and the position of the hands and those kinds of things, and then you can use that rig about on your character. But it's looking good otherwise. Let's look at the blend shapes. You mentioned, you don't have to use. You mentioned a problem with the lattice. You don't have to use the lattice if it's more trouble than it's worth. Oh, you didn't actually make the blend shape, so it's looking a little weird. You got maybe a bit too dense here. I'm not sure, but you've got. Do you have two heads on top of each other? Is that the case in the whole of them, or just that one? So that's a little confusing. Figure out which head's the right one. Oh geez, how many? What the heck is going on here? There's a few of those. So yeah, sort of figure out what's going on with those. And then there's these creases. Look kind of funny there, but so I would say yeah, if the lattice is just causing you weird results, just delete it and just move the points to get the shape you want. Frankly, it's with this mouse this simple, that'd be easy enough anyway. Yeah, and then match it to the proportions of the Pillman. Okay, next up is Xana, and yeah, this is looking really cool. I think she needs a neck in there. I like what you've done with the dress. It might be a little tricky to make that move nicely, but hopefully we can work it out. And oh, she looks like she's missing hands. You might want to just use those hands that come with the Pillman thing. I like the hair thing you've done. That looks cool. We can take a look at your blend shapes here. Okay. Okay, that's nice. I like the shape of the eyebrows as well. That looks good. And the dress, all that looks good. You had asked about a feather in the hat. So here I've searched for feathers in Google Images, and this one looks good. Go with her red dress, and it's on a white background, which should help. I'm going to right mouse click and open image in new tab, and then just copy that. And I need to go into Photoshop first and set up an alpha channel, so I'm going to create a new image from the clipboard and paste it in there. And then I'll want to select all the white, so I'm going to select a color range and choose white, and then you can kind of increase the fuzziness here, and then we can invert the selection so it's just a feather that's selected. And then I'll go into channels, and we need to create an alpha channel, so I'll do that, and then Alt backspace with this selected should make that black. I think that's right. Hopefully I didn't do that backwards, but I think I did it right. So and I can just get rid of this background thing here, and now I'll save this as a TIFF file, and I'm going to put it in my Silver City source images directory, so I'll just save that. Okay, now back to Maya. Alright, I'm going to make a simple little polygon plane. I guess we're in 2018, but it shouldn't really make a difference here. And I can sort of shape it like a feather. And then I'll do assign new material, and I'll just use Lambert for this. And in the Lambert, I'll do color map file browse. It should take me right to that source images. Here's the feather. Hope I didn't do that backwards. I did it backwards. Darn it. So let's just fix that in Photoshop. So I'm gonna, what if it'll let me invert the layer image adjustments? Invert? Nope. Oh wait, maybe because there's still a selection in here. Yeah, okay, there we go. Okay, my bad. So you just need to fill that with white and fill the rest with black. So I'll save that. And let's go back into my oh, I had it open in both. Okay, we'll back in here. So here's a plane. Right mouse click, assign new material, Lambert, browse, file. There we go. Could probably have worked on the mask a little bit more, but then I could take this and, like, you know, if I wanted to bend it, I might use a bend deformer, for example. It's under animation. I could use create deformer, nonlinear bend, and make sure this is horizontal like so. And we can just click on this and adjust the curvature. Oh, that's the wrong way. Should be like that. Minus 90 here. Okay. You know, so I could kind of give it some curve, and then if I'm happy with that, I'll delete history, edit, delete by type history, and then hold on V for point snap to get that closer. You know, something like that. Okay. Yeah, not real happy with that mask. I think I need it to be adjusted more, but you get the idea. Okay, next up is Leo, and yeah, this looks pretty good. You've got all the basic stuff in there. I would probably just want to get rid of these extra pieces here. Oops. Make sure not to delete any skeleton stuff. Boots are a little big on top for the size of his skinny legs. And you got sort of a vest thing going here. That's alright. I might kind of pull out some of the points of this so it doesn't intersect there. And yeah, I mean, I think it's looking good. Did you do your facial shapes? It looks like you may have done that. Yeah, okay, good. I would go a bit wider with a wide mouth. You got the tongue in there, frown. Yeah, I would just go generally kind of bigger with some of those shapes. But it looks like you've got all the basics working, so that's good. I had an error when I opened it in my 2015, so it was just opened in 2018, but yeah, this is looking good. Again, you might want to adjust the position of these points just to prevent some of this overlap from going on. It's good that you adjusted some of the proportions. The hat looks good. We can check the blend shapes here. It looks like you just sort of got a standard set. Again, I would go bigger with these shapes so you have more to work with. But yeah, you've kind of got all the basics on there, which is good. So maybe add one or two more accessories, and you know, but